Good evening. My name is Cassandra, and I will be presenting to you a case I've been working on. I have been working with a Miss Marshall. She's a 57-year-old woman who suffered from a stroke, which has left her with right hemisphere disorder. For those of you that do not know, right hemisphere disorder is a group of deficits that are a result of damage in a specific part of the brain, the right hemisphere, hence right hemisphere disorder. In Miss Marshall's case, this happened because of the stroke. It has left her with the status of mild to moderate cognitive and communication impairment. I have had the pleasure of working with her for a while now, and her current status is going well. We are working on expression. She's having difficulty maintaining and shifting topics and turn-taking within conversation. Very long utterances with little content disorganized and a little off-topic. Using vague, non-specific language such as metaphors and etc. No word-finding difficulties, which is a great thing in her case, with little to few grammatical errors. Auditory comprehension difficulty varies with longer to more complex utterances. Difficulty with higher level of language, examples, humor, oral narratives, etc. She takes everything very literal in the meanings. That's why it's difficult for her to understand the jokes and narratives. She does better with visual cues though, so we are using a lot of those. Writing, she is able to write with very short sentences in dictation. More difficulty with spontaneous writing, so asking her to write about her day, it can be a little bit difficult for her. Reading, she can read short paragraphs, but with the omission of a word and word endings. Very poor comprehension right now as well when we are doing some reading. Cognition, unaware of cognitive and communication difficulties, flat affect with little demonstration, emotion, or use of prosody, distractible and poor attentiveness as well, and very poor eye contact. Our therapy goals are as follows. We're in individual and group treatment, and the following goals are being targeted in both. Attention span, reading comprehension. We're working on conversational skills, introducing topics, maintaining those topics, eye contact with her colleagues, turn-taking, expression of her thoughts in a concise and precise organized way. Comprehension of the listener's point of view as well. We have a difficult time understanding. We briefly mentioned before that she has a difficult time understanding oral narratives. So understanding the listener's point of view can be a little difficult for her. We're also working on a higher level of language, examples being humor, absurdities, inferences, and figurative language. We've been working on these goals in a number of ways, again, sometimes in group therapy, sometimes outside of group therapy, and one-to-one circumstances. Right now, we are working on several different things. I will slowly go through them with examples of how these activities and lessons are going. So the first is I have Miss Marshall reading a paragraph aloud, using finger pointing for every word and reading slowly in a very distraction-free environment. So just the two of us in a room alone. After reading that paragraph, I asked Miss Marshall questions about the story regarding details and the central theme of the story. Here I have an example of us reading together for your viewing pleasure. Okay, so we're going to just read our paragraph like we've been practicing. Remember to read with your finger, and let's not miss any of those important words and the endings, okay? I think you got it though. Let's go for it.
The peacock is the national bird, India. They have color.
Let's try that sentence one more time. Remember to place your finger on every single word.
The peacock is the national bird of India. They have colorful feather, 2 legs,
Oh,
and small.
there's an S on there. Is there one feather or multiple feathers?
Multiple.
Okay, so it's feathers.
They have colorful feathers, 2 legs, and a small beak. They are famous for their dance. When peacock dances, it spreads its feathers like
I
a
think
fan.
we missed one word. Try again. Right there.
When a peacock dances, it spreads its feathers like a fan. It has a long, shiny, dark blue neck. Peacocks are mostly found in the field. They are very beautiful birds.
Fields. Try right from there.
In the fields, they are very beautiful birds. The females are known as peahen. Their feathers are used for making jackets, purses, etc. We can see them in a zoo.
Awesome. Okay, so from that paragraph, what was the paragraph about?
Peacocks.
Okay, and where do they live?
Fields.
Okay. What country is is it their national bird?
India.
Wow. Okay. Can you remember what color their neck is?
Dark blue.
Wow, that was awesome. Okay, and what are females known as?
Peahens.
Awesome. Okay, great. Let's move on. The second activity we have been working on is demonstrating or showing videos of people having communication that are both successful and unsuccessful. Primarily, I show these to Miss Marshall on an iPad. We go through them and we discuss communication breaks down because of pragmatic impairments such as like zero eye contact, interrupting, in turn taking of speech, having Miss Marshall determine which ones are successful and which ones are unsuccessful, and discussing what the problem is, followed by some practice of the target skills in conversation. So right now we are just doing that, the two of us. The next goal would be to move on with someone else. Again, I have a video for you to see.
Excuse me, do you know, seriously, we're in the cafeteria, because I'm just like super excited to be here. I mean,
okay, so that was the poor conversation. Why was that a bad conversation? What was she doing?
Well, they're talking over each other. Okay. She wasn't actually actively listening.
What about her eye contact?
She wasn't making it.
Okay. In the good conversation, was there eye contact?
Yes.
Okay. Was she talking over?
Yep.
Okay. How about turn taking in conversation? How was it in the this video?
She wasn't taking turns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think she wasn't taking turns?
Because she was talking over the other person.
Okay. What about the first video? Were they taking turns?
Yes.
Okay. What? How could you tell that they were taking turns?
Because they finished. They waited till the other person was finished talking before they responded.
Good. And did they both have something to say? Was the girl staying on topic? How was
Not
their
in this
conversation? No. How about the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. So they are both equally talking, or
Yes.
okay. Anything else you notice in the videos?
No.
No? Okay. Let's watch one more and then we can take a break. The third activity that we are currently working on is developing situations in which Miss Marshall has to determine what other people might be feeling, thinking, or saying. So, for example, a woman is in a grocery store and has dropped a jug of milk, which is now spilt all over the floor. And I get Miss Marshall to discuss these, that one being an example, and help her figure out the situation. Again, I have attached a video for you to see what we're talking about. So let's start with just a couple of pictures, and as we go through the pictures, we're going to talk about the pictures, see how everyone's feeling in it, what's happening, and we're just going to discuss them, okay?
Okay.
So let's start with this first picture. What do you see in this picture?
2 girls playing and one standing alone.
Okay. And how do you think that one girl standing alone feels?
Left out.
Yeah. And why do you think she feels left out?
Because she's not being included.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
2 little girls playing in the sand.
Okay. And how do you think they're feeling?
Happy.
Yeah. Why would you think they're happy?
Because they're smiling.
That's a pretty good assumption. Okay. What's happening in this picture?
Someone is saying hello. Someone got off an airplane.
Okay. And how do you think they're feeling?
Happy.
Why would you assume happy?
Because people are coming off the plane and she's hugging him.
Okay. Even though her face looks sad?
Just happy tears.
Okay. Alright, how about this one?
That is a girl stressed out at her work desk.
Okay. Why would you assume she's stressed out?
Because of the look on her face. She has her hand on her head.
Okay. Why would you assume it's her workplace?
Because there's files and computers and fax machines.
That's fair. It couldn't be at her house, though?
Could be an office.
Okay. Alright, let's do this last one. What's happening here?
A mom's getting mad at a little boy.
Okay. How does he look like he's feeling?
Mad.
Why would he be mad?
Because he's getting in trouble.
Yeah. And how does mom look?
Mad.
Yeah. Why do you think she's mad?
Because he did something.
Okay. Alright, awesome. We'll look at some more pictures in just a minute. The fourth activity, getting ahead of myself here, the fourth activity is Miss Marshall and we are working on conversational skills. As mentioned before, we are looking at videos of others in a communication and seeing how that communication is successful or breaking down. This, we are actually working on it with another person. So Miss Marshall and I come up with 1 or 2 topics that we can be in control of in a conversation, and we then go and talk and find a colleague and talk to them and practice the conversation topics we came up with. This will be 2 to 3 minutes of conversation with the previously discussed topics that Miss Marshall feels comfortable with. We will discuss the proper turn taking and maintaining eye contact with that colleague. We obviously discussed turn taking previous to discussing our topics with the colleague, but I asked her specifically while we are talking to that colleague that I would like her to pay attention to our eye contact on top of what we're working on. So again, I have another example, and so we're gonna go to group therapy now as well, but we're gonna work on a conversation. So the first person we sit down next to, let's start a conversation with them. Now, to prepare for this conversation, I want you to pick 2 topics you feel comfortable with, okay?
Okay.
Do you know what those ones would be? Okay. What's the first one?
Dogs.
Okay. What's the second one?
Lacrosse.
Oh, 57-year-old woman playing lacrosse. That's pretty cool. I'm impressed, Miss Marshall. Okay. So when we talk about these things, what are some good ways to have a good conversation? Remember last week we looked at some videos of people having a good conversation and some not so good conversation. What are the good things that we can work on?
Eye contact.
Good. Okay, so why don't you write that down? Alright, and let's pick 2 more things that we can work on.
Not talking over the other person.
Yeah, so turn taking. Right, and 1 more.
Asking questions.
Yeah, that's a good one. We could ask them. So in regards to your topics, what kind of questions could you ask your friend?
If they have a dog.
Good. And what about lacrosse?
If they play lacrosse.
Good. Those are 2 really good questions. So we can start off our conversation saying, I like lacrosse.
Do you play lacrosse?
That's awesome. Okay. So we got 2 topics, 3 things we want to work on. Let's try to remember these, and I'm going to sit nearby, and I'm going to cue our eye contact if you look my way, okay? So remember to look at your friend, and remember to take turns, right? Even if you have something to say, you can wait till they're done, okay?
Okay.
Awesome. Let's go practice. So our first activity we have been working on was reading paragraphs out loud. Another activity on top of that activity that we added in is after we have read that paragraph, I want Miss Marshall to give it a title. This works on our goal of a higher language level, working on attention and reading comprehension. So it's giving her the ability to pay attention more to what she's reading and then putting a title on it so I know that she understood what we just read. It's also working on her attention because she needs to be paying attention to what she's reading. And then the higher language level, because we have a difficult time coming up with a title ourselves. So again, here's another example for your viewing pleasure. With this paragraph, let's read it, and then at the end of the paragraph, I want you to give me kind of a synopsis, so a title for the paragraph, okay? Okay.
The dog is a pet animal. It is one of the most obedient animal. There are
Animals. There's multiple animals, not just one, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
There are many kinds of dogs in the world. Some of them are very friendly, while some of them are dangerous.
We added a word there. Some of them. You know what, that doesn't even make sense, so
I changed it.
fair. Continue.
Dogs are different colors, like black, red, white, and brown. Some of them have slippery, shiny skin. Some of them have rough skin. Dogs are carnivorous animal. They like
Animals. Yeah.
They like eating meat. They have 4 legs, 2 ears, and a tail. Dogs are trained to perform different tasks. They protect us from thieves, guarding our house.
Okay.
They are loving animals. A dog is a man's best friend.
It's called a man's best friend, so people assume that they're called that. Yeah.
They are used by police to find hidden things. They are one of the most useful animals in the world.
Awesome. Okay, so what was the paragraph about?
Dogs.
Alright, and are they meat-eating animals?
Yes.
Okay. How many legs do they have?
4.
Alright. What would you say would be a good title for this paragraph?
Dogs are loving animals.
That's a good one. Alright, cool. We'll move on to another paragraph. As I previously mentioned, Miss Marshall is a 57-year-old woman. I don't know about all 57-year-old women, but it's very important to Miss Marshall to have some humor and keep that. It was an important part of her life before, and she wanted to make that a goal. So we wanted to accommodate to that. So during group, a friend is going to tell a joke. Very simple one, such as, why did the booger cross the road? Because he didn't want to get picked. Why do bananas put sunscreen on before they go to the beach? Because they don't want to peel. Very simple jokes. They're cheesy, childish, but something that someone would laugh at or kind of chuckle. If she gets it, she will have achieved a little bit of a higher language understanding. If not, she can ask her friend to explain, and this will also help her work on attention and maintaining the topic with a peer. Again, an example here in video for you, and we will discuss more after. Before we go to group therapy, I have a joke for you, okay? Because in this group therapy, we're going to be talking about some jokes, having conversations. Let's practice a joke now. Okay. Why do bananas wear sunscreen to the beach?
No.
Because they don't want to peel.
I don't get it.
Okay, so when you are in the sun for a long time, do you get hot, burn, and then peel?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then bananas, you peel them. So they don't want to peel when they go to the beach. Does it make sense now?
Yes, it does.
Okay. It's a lame joke, I know. So now we're going to go work on, if you don't understand what a joke is, I want you to do what you just asked. You can say, can you explain it? Or I didn't get it. And we'll go from there, okay?
Okay.
So now that you've seen examples of everything that I'm talking about, it gives you more of an idea. So I'm going to go back over our therapy goals and then go through each activity and explain how it meets the therapy goals and how it benefits Miss Marshall. So again, the therapy goals are an individual and group treatment, attention, we're working on that, reading comprehension, conversational skills, higher level of language. So the first activity, we discussed reading in a paragraph, using with our finger. We are reading, the point of the finger is so she can maintain each word. This builds her attention, to pay attention to that short paragraph we're reading, but again also reading comprehension, so making sure we don't miss those words and we don't miss any endings. From there, we are also, in a way, depending on what the paragraph is, doing a higher level of language. We change up the paragraphs and they can have humor in there, inferences, some absurdities, figurative language. So again, it's building all of her comprehension and that cognitive function again. The second goal we had, or activity, I apologize, we're watching videos of having a conversation. I think that's pretty straightforward. We're building up a conversation. We are learning the proper social cues, turn-taking, discussing, maintaining that topic, responding to that topic, keeping eye contact. This is her way of visually seeing it so she can see what the air was and how it should have been. That way, that when she does it herself, perhaps the visual cues will help remind her how she should be also acting when she's in conversation with a colleague or peer. The third activity, we discussed developing situations in which Miss Marshall has to determine what the other person is feeling. So this can be a part of inferences, being able to tell what's happening in the situation. We might be able to take that a step further and see how is that person feeling in that situation. This also, again, is attention, communication, and perhaps a higher language level. The fourth activity, Ms. Marshall and I are working on conversational skills and coming up with 2 topics. Again, straightforward. We're working on our conversation techniques with colleagues. Being able to pick 2 topics she feels comfortable with. We can practice it by ourselves first, and then when we go and see that colleague, she kind of knows what to expect. Although sometimes it is difficult because that colleague might want to change the topic, and Miss Marshall will not feel comfortable with that, and we'll just have to roll with the punches and see what happens. Again, this builds attention, and she's doing well with it so far. Our fifth goal, wow, talking too much. Our 5th goal, we've been working on reading those paragraphs. I've been wanting her to label it at the end. This is working on just understanding that comprehension, cognitive comprehension, yet again, attention to reading and reading, just building up that understanding again. And if she's paying attention, she should be able to label what something is, and it's working on that higher level of language as well. Our last goal was listening to a joke from a peer or colleague. This one, it can be a little bit, that's 3 goals or 3 activities that are all communication based, but it's important to build that conversation, but also it's important to Miss Marshall to be able to build that humor back up. It's important to her and her family. She apparently is a very funny woman, and I think that's something that we should keep in mind. So again, more conversation. It also can probably spur an actual conversation besides just listening to a joke, and learning that higher level of language as well. I feel like that covers everything. Are there any questions that I can answer? If there are, you can leave me a note. If not, this was my case presentation on Miss Marshall, a 57-year-old woman who is suffering from right hemisphere disorder. Thank Thank you for listening and have a good evening.